Now, I made a video recently, and I'll put the link to that video up here so you guys can go and click it and watch it if you haven't. But the video is titled, "Isn't it funny how all technology comes back to racism and misogyny?" And I was talking about how I've seen AI used to be racist and misogynistic so many times, quite literally, right? Now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play the intro because I feel like YouTube is going to demonetize me for getting into this too early in the video. But we'll jump right in after that. Now, the main point of this video was the fact that on Twitter, there is a generative AI chat bot thing called Grok, and people are currently using Grok to undress women, quite literally. So a woman can post a picture in a regular outfit, and guys will comment under it and be like, "Grok, put her in a bikini, oil her up," weird stuff, right? And I talked about how I've also noticed that I keep seeing generative AI videos of black people, like with the EBT thing, when they were cutting EBT. I kept seeing fake videos of black people like, "What? I need my EBT to feed my 20 kids and my 12 baby daddies." Like, I compared it to modern day blackface and minstrel shows, right? So that was the premise of this video. And mind you, in this video, I was not dragging nobody. I was not cutting up nothing, okay? Now let's look at a comment that I got under this video, right? This person said, "I also want to say, because I have a beautiful mixed family and I'm fighting for a better world for the little ones, there needs to be a better way to have these kinds of conversations. The way white people are being talked about here, saying the entire group is guilty of crimes that the few commit, it's no better than any other kind of racism. I get where it's coming from, but two wrongs don't make right. With your intelligence and wit, you surely can put out content that brings people together rather than pushes them apart. Sexism, I'm down with though. Those men, I swear," shaking my head. Okay, so the ending of this person's comment leads me to believe that this is a white woman, all right? So I'm going to read my response to this woman, and then we're going to get more into the nitty gritty. I replied to this woman, so you have no issue with generalizing men, but you take issue with me generalizing white people. I wonder why that is. If me speaking on the existence of white supremacy is divisive to you, then we were never meant to come together. How dare you have children with a black person and have biracial children and still refuse to condemn white supremacy with your whole chest? How dare you use them as your shield when it's time to hold yourself and your community accountable? And then I just stopped it at that because I was about to get to going and I was like, I don't even feel like typing all this out, right? But now I want to take a deeper look at this comment and this mentality and just the tone policing, the tone deafness, just the whole shebang. Now, the first thing I'll address is this, right? If you've been subscribed to me on YouTube for a few years, then you know good and well, years ago, child, I was a menace to society. And that's crazy because, well, I started YouTube in 2025. It's been 6 years. So I started when I was 23, okay? And whew, y'all, I was crazy. But the crazy part is I had already done a lot of growth. If I had a YouTube at 18, 19, oh my goodness, right? My point is this, though. I used to be dragging folks for filth. Now, I will say this, right? I was talking about the same topics that I talk about today. Absolutely. I was talking about racism, colorism, xenophobia, all of that stuff, right? But they were mostly drags. And to be fair, you all don't get to tone police people who are talking about their victimization and oppression. If somebody wants to be fed up and wants to go off and wants to cut up, they are well within their rights. That's the first thing, right? But I'm bringing it up to say something. I would be more understanding if it was a couple years ago and somebody had commented something like this. Okay, I still would be like, you focused on the wrong things, right? Because this video is not about coddling your feelings. This is about highlighting white supremacy and whatever, right? But again, it would be more understanding, right? But at this point in my life where I'm not even like dragging people or nothing, you still commenting this, that goes to tell me you don't actually care about this topic. You just here to coddle your feelings and center yourself. And that's not what we're doing here, okay? The craziest part of this comment was the direct contradiction in the end. This woman went ahead in the end and said, "Sexism, I'm down with though. Those men, I swear." So as a woman, you can see that sexism is a general problem and you can generalize men as upholding it, right? I'm sure you understand that it is not 100% of men. I'm sure you can acknowledge there might be one or two nice guys out there, legitimately nice guys, right? But still, you can say, oh, sexism in general, right, is perpetuated by men against women, and therefore I would generalize, right? But then you turn around and you act confused when a black person does the same thing concerning white people and white supremacy. I'm confused. You didn't feel the need to center men's feelings at the end of your comment. You didn't say, well, some men, golly, they will like her. No, you were quite comfortable generalizing men, right? But when I refuse to say, well, some white people let me coddle their feelings, my dog diggity, in my discussions about white supremacy, then suddenly you're feeling attacked. And I always use the example, right? Because I always try to put myself in people's shoes. I always try to make the math. Y'all know that, right? I always use the example of the fact that I am cisgender and I am heterosexual. I am not a part of the LGBTQ community, right? And I never feel offended when I see gay people speak about straight people in absolutes. I never feel offended when gay people are like, oh, straight people are homophobic or this or that or so and so and so. Because the reality is I'm straight and I know exactly how straight people treat gay people because of that. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have been around a group of straight people and somehow gay people have been brought up some way. I don't know. Maybe somebody just brought them up, or maybe somebody some song came on that was made by somebody who had some allegations of some zestiness or something. Maybe a commercial came on with a gay couple in it, whatever it may be, right? Somehow gay people were brought up. And immediately everybody just starts dogpiling them, right? Now, hold up, because y'all gonna be like, well, what do you do about it? Bitch, I stand on big business. I'm Flower motherfucking Tower. What do you mean, bitch? I'll address anybody about any motherfucking thing. Y'all the ones who be sitting around talking about y'all are allies and then be scared to speak up in person, because not me, bitch. I'll cook your ass right to your motherfucking face, all right? So, of course, I always say something. I always be like, Chile, y'all don't even make no damn sense, right? But that's not even the point. Okay? The point is, I am straight, and I, again, never get offended when I see gay people speak about straight people in absolutes, because I know good and goddamn well that in general, straight people treat gay people like trash. I've been straight for 29, damn near 30 years, and I will tell you right now the things that are said about gay people when they are not around. I will tell you right now, right? So that makes me wonder about you as a white person, because you've been white for how long? I don't know how old you is, but I'm sure you've been white for a while, right? And you telling me, right? You telling me that there's never been a time where it was just you and other white people and some racism got brought up, right? You telling me that? You telling me that, right? You telling me that your feelings about me speaking about something like this is more important than the actual dismantling of white supremacy. That's what you telling me? And then you got the nerve to be talking about, well, I don't want you to be divisive. But you sitting here centering yourself and your dumb ass, raggedy ass feelings in the conversation of white supremacy instead of the actual issue. And you think that I would ever want to be united with you? Like, how would that benefit me? Years ago, in fact, I used to work at the Detroit Yacht Club. And it's crazy because I never even knew the Detroit Yacht Club existed until I started working there. It's wild how I was born and raised in Detroit, used to go to Belle Isle all the time, and I never ever noticed this place or whatever. But that just goes to show you that when you're not a part of the in crowd, you'll never know anything about it, even if it's right there in your face, right? But anyway, I was a bartender at the Detroit Yacht Club, and I was the only black bartender. The other black employees, there were a couple of black employees, they worked in the kitchen, and I think that was it. There might have been, I think there was a black woman who was over the catering department or something, but I never saw her or anything. I saw her one time, one random day, because there was something planned, right? But by and large, when it comes to front of house, in restaurants and stuff, they call it back of house, front of house. I was the only black person in the front of house. I was the only black person that customers would see, right? The other black people were back in the kitchen, and it was two of them, okay? So one day, right? I came to work, and I was scheduled with this girl, and I'm thinking, I can't even remember how she looked halfway. She was maybe Mexican or something, mestiza Mexican, okay? How the stereotypical Mexican looks, because a lot of people think Mexican is a race, and it is not. So, mestiza means mixed with white and native. That's the stereotypical Mexican who you think of when you hear Mexican, right? So, whatever she was, like I said, she was some sort of spicy white. She was not quite white, but she was not black. Come on now, right? So one day I was scheduled with her and we were complaining about the customers because these were like really like Karen type white folks. Like, come on, it was a yacht club, right? And she said to me, she said, yeah, and you know, they're really racist. Like, when you're not here, they say a lot of stuff about black people. And I was like, yeah, I'm not shocked to hear that at all. Like, girl, you telling me that? Like, I assumed as much. I'm bringing that up to say this, and my apologies. My neighbor got his dumb, irritating dog outside, so y'all might hear it barking in the background, but whatever, okay? I say that to say this. How many times have you, as a white woman, been somewhere with all white people and black people were brought up negatively, right? How many times has that happened? How many times have you experienced white supremacy firsthand? Because something I've said on YouTube before is that all of the studying that I do, right? All of the investigative work that I conduct as it pertains to white supremacy and their way of thinking and all of this stuff, right? I will never understand the nitty gritty because I'm not a part of the white in crowd, right? When I go around white people, they act differently, okay? They don't act the same as when it's just a group full of white people, right? So you see a side of white supremacy that I will never see. You understand the nitty gritty depths of white supremacy in a way that I never will, right? Yet you sit here and you come under my video and you play in my face. And y'all know one thing about me, I can't stand when a bitch play in my face. That's one of my least favorite things in the world. Now, let me get into this comment and read it chunk by chunk and really dissect it. So this woman starts off, she says, I also want to say, because I have a beautiful mixed family and I'm fighting for a better world for the little ones. Pause. So you have biracial children and you claim to be fighting for a better world for the little ones. But are you really though? Are you really though? Because when I make this video and I highlight white supremacy and I make you uncomfortable about it, clearly, right? Instead of you saying, oh, this is the uncomfortable truth, it has to be faced, this is reality, right? Instead, you expect somebody to coddle your feelings and center you and how you feel in the conversation of white supremacy. How about how I feel? How about how I feel as a black person who is the victim of this system, right? Nobody gives a fuck about how you feel. Like, let's start saying that more. Nobody gives a fuck about how you as a white person feel when somebody bring up white supremacy, because that is not important. What is important is how the victims of it feel. That is what actually is important here, right? Because I am the one who may be lynched for walking down the street in 2025. I am the one, right, who in 2021 got denied a job for my hairstyle. I am the one who is the actual victim of this. So quite frankly, I could not give any less fucks about how you feel and how you want to be coddled by me when I bring up white supremacy. That is the last thing on my mind, girl. I quite frankly could not care less. Kiss my black ass, okay? She then goes on to say, there needs to be a better way to have these kinds of conversations. The way white people are being talked about here, saying the entire group is guilty of crimes that the few commit, it's no better than any other kind of racism. Pause. Because either you ignorant or you're willfully acting obtuse. You're telling me, right, that my video where I say, oh, generative AI is being used as a modern day blackface to create fake videos of black people doing these stereotypical things, so and so and so. You're saying that is racist against you as a white person and that it is no better than any other kind of racism. Whereas like the racism that I face is I cannot travel to certain places because they will lynch me. Like quite literally before I go on a vacation, I have to look up the population of the place, the racial demographics. Is it or was it ever a sundown town? Things like that, right? You're telling me that my video where I said, yeah, you know, white people are using generative AI to make these like stereotypical videos of black people, that was racist against you? That's what you're telling me. And then you're telling me that is the same as the racism that I go through as a black person, where I don't even feel comfortable walking through white neighborhoods in the daytime or in the nighttime because they'll call the cops saying I look suspicious and that's lights out for me. You're saying that's the same? Are you serious? Because again, either you're like, I was going to say either you're ignorant or you're just acting, but there's no way that you are actually ignorant to what is going on around you in this country. There's no way you are that damn ignorant. So again, we get back to the fact that you are playing in my face. Now, my thing is this. I could let you, I could try, no, I wouldn't let you slide, but I would at least, be like, okay, I understand how you could be ignorant to historical injustices because y'all don't teach history. And if y'all do teach it, then y'all whitewash it and colonize it, right? So y'all won't even teach y'all kids that lynchings or slavery or anything even happened. Like, y'all have completely painted a delusional worldview of the past, right? So I could sit here and I could say, okay, I could understand you being ignorant of that, not acceptable at all, but I could get you being ignorant of that. But there is no way you are ignorant of what is going on right now today in 2026. There's no way, right? Today in 2026, Black women still die in childbirth at more than 3 times the national rate because medical professionals quite literally don't view Black people as human. It is literally due to neglect. It's not due to any genetic differences, predispositions. No, it's quite literally due to neglect. It is quite literally a genocide, but nobody's calling that because it's affecting, Black women, right? But my point is, in 2026, that is the case, right? There is no way you are not aware of the things that are going on around you right now today, right? And if you're not, that is a conscious choice. And that, I cannot offer you any sort of understanding or leeway with that. She then goes on to say, I get where it's coming from, but 2 wrongs don't make a right. Pause. Black people, not a single Black person in this world, you can't find one, right, have never wronged white people in the way that white people have wronged us. That is a damn lie. Tell the truth, please, and shame the devil. For you to sit here and say 2 wrongs don't make a right, I could go out, baby, I could curb stomp the first white bitch I see, and guess what? I still will not have wronged white people in the way that white people have wronged Black people. Just based off the history of Black Americans in America. Let's not even talk about all the other Black people and all the other places in the world, all the other stuff y'all did to them. Let me just focus on me right now in America, right? There is no way you sit here talking about 2 wrongs don't make a right. Bitch, you have not been wronged. You have never been wronged by Black people, ever. Not in the capacity that Black people have been wronged by white people. So why, again, are you sitting here playing in my face? We get back to the same issue, right? It's just like it's a recurring theme at this point. She then says, with your intelligence and wit, you surely can put out content that brings people together rather than pushes them apart. Why would I ever in my Black ass life ever want to be brought together with the likes of you? Somebody who had biracial kids just so they can sit around talking about, I'm not racist. Well, I refuse to dismantle white supremacy and I want you to censor my white feelings. But I have biracial kids though, so I'm not racist. Why would I ever want to be around you? What do we have in common? I don't get that, right? Because this is my thing. I'm here. I'm on YouTube to dismantle white supremacy, right? And that's clearly not why you here. If you up under a video highlighting white supremacy, saying anything other than, yeah, this is whack, let's get into this and let's unpack this, right? If you up in here saying anything other than, yeah, it's time to tear this shit apart, right? We not on the same page. Why would I ever want to stand in unity with you? Who needs enemies when you have friends like this, right? Like, come on now. You want to know something, right? Something I will never understand, okay? Now, I don't have children, right? So I cannot understand the love of a mother for her child. But I will say this. I did have a pregnancy scare years ago. I was in college. I was like 20 years old, right? 21 maybe. And I thought that I was pregnant. I kid y'all not. Like, it was real. It was looking real steep, right? Because the thing about me is my periods are very regular, like clockwork. I can literally say, oh, I'm going to be on my period that week, so I'm going to schedule this for some other time or whatever, right? So my period was like something crazy, like 2 weeks late, y'all. Oh my God, right? So I remember I was hooting and hollering, like having a breakdown because I really thought I was pregnant, y'all. Like, I was like, it's done for. Because after my period didn't come, I was like, dang, I think I did have sex when I was ovulating, right? So anyway, y'all, I was convinced that I was pregnant. I kid you not. And when I tell you, just thinking I was pregnant, I felt such a connection to that baby, right? Turns out my ass was not even pregnant. But y'all, I was like hooting, hollering, having a breakdown because I was like, baby, I'm going to have to abort you. Like, y'all, I was stressed out. But my point is, right? I had only been pregnant for 10 damn minutes and it wasn't shit in there. Like, y'all. And I was like, y'all, when I tell y'all that connection, right? That connection. So I cannot imagine actually being pregnant for months and months and months. And that actual connection with a real child, right? Right? I cannot imagine the love that a mother feels for her child. I cannot, right? So when I see something like this, right, somebody who has biracial children and they still don't love their children enough to put their own ego aside, right, and say, no, it is time to center my children and their half blackness. This is not about me and coddling my white feelings, right? I can't even wrap my mind around it. How are you a mother? That truly just goes to show you how deeply white people hate black people. And let me tell you what I mean by that, right? Somebody made the point one time, I think it was just a post I saw on Twitter or something, right? Somebody said white people will be in the hospital with dementia, unable to recognize their own children, right? And they'll still remember to call the black nurse the N-word. And when they said that, that was like eye-opening to me, because as a black person, of course I learn about, history in the present day and, what white people do to us. But I don't think that black people in general really understand how deep of a hatred that is when a white person hates black people, right? And when that person put it into those words, you don't even remember your children, but you remember to call a black person the N-word. That was like mind-boggling to me. Right? And this makes me think of that, right? You have biracial children and you still cannot with your chest say, oh, I am anti-white supremacy. You still centering yourself and your white ass feelings in any discussion about white supremacy. That really goes to show you a whole lot. If you so choose to lay down with the black person and have biracial children, then this is what I request from you, right? Either acknowledge the fact that you simply have jungle fever and move on, right? Or if you claim to be really trying to make this world a better place for your biracial children and all of that good stuff, right? Then really stand on it. Because bottom line, end of the day, sucking a black dick, excuse my language, is not enough to make you an ally, right? That's not enough, right? You're going to have to really stand on big business about it, okay? Especially when you up in Flowertopia. Now, you're dismissed.